We zijn live.
Live and kicking.
Live and kicking. Here we are together with Fief.
Yes,
Fief.
hi.
Yes. Mentor, coach, psychologist, Stoic, practical Stoic.
That's right.
Philosopher. What you do many things. And you do
Yes.
it also to help people, to lead better, be more relaxed. And what else?
So what I do
Yes, what do you do?
with other people or in my life?
Oh, that's two different completely questions, of course. What you do, what your life?
Oh, that's a lot. You already mentioned a few things, but it really sounds as if I do a lot of things that mainly I do, but it's a combination between those things. So I'm a mentor, and I combine it with things that I already did for ages as a psychologist, and with the Stoic philosophy. So it's one thing. It sounds very impressive if you say everything after each other. But that's the main activity I do in my life with people, and I rather call it mentoring. Because helping. Well, it sounds a little bit as if I know everything. Yeah, mentoring is maybe it's a feeling, but I try to mentor or stand beside someone to look at things that they find difficult to deal with, and that's what I do. And mainly I work with leaders, and leaders are entrepreneurs or managers or people who have a certain responsibility and are struggling with things, and I really enjoy it
to help them getting out of the struggles.
Yeah.
Combining all the different ingredients of your knowledge and experiences.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because, about 10 years I had a private practice, and what they call in Holland, eerste lijns psychologist. So people who needed help. And I worked with a lot of doctors who advised people to come to me. Especially, I was specialized in trauma, and I was a coach as well for people who worked in all kinds of businesses. And in a certain stage, I was thinking and doubting if I would do this work my whole life. And I mean whole life, maybe till I don't know when I'm going to quit with work, maybe never. But that was a moment that I was intrigued and discovered the Stoic philosophy. So that's where everything started. And I ended my private practice. I stopped with it and started my other business, what I do now.
So that was a Stoic decision to change from one to the other, or was driven by the Stoic behaviors?
Yeah, so inspired actually.
Inspired.
Inspired because I didn't know a lot of things about Stoic philosophy. I had a certain idea about them, and luckily it was totally different than I thought about what would be. And it's a very rich philosophy, very practical, and it gives me and luckily a lot of other people a fundament to try and conquer difficult things in life, but also enjoy things in life as well.
And what is the number one of the Stoics, which is for you the most important one? If you can know.
No, well, there are four pillars.
Okay.
It's wisdom, courage. Courage is a very good one as well. I think the third one is temperance.
Mm-hmm.
And temperance is an important one in a lot of things, of course, and justice. And justice in the sense that to realize that we are part of a whole planet. We are related. Everybody's related with each other, and that it's quite logical that you are respectful towards each other. And to answer your question, I think for me it starts with wisdom, because if you try to be wise, one of the things you try to learn yourself is to divide things that you have control over and can't control in life.
This is normally also what creates the stress. No, were the Stoics stressful? Were they those approaches or the pillars? Were they also created in a way to manage life in a more relaxer way?
Yeah, maybe not relaxed, but in a good way. And Marcus Aurelius is one of the most famous Stoic philosophers. Roman Empire he had. Huh? In his time when he lived, he had a very difficult life. We can't imagine how difficult it is. We have very easy lives. And he wrote a book, well, his diary actually. It was a meditation. So he tried to cope with all the things he saw and cope with all the death he saw and all the struggles. And it's a way of coping with things in a different way. And I think at the end, you're able to be more, maybe more relaxed about things. I think that's what most people are aiming for, to be more relaxed. But I think the Stoics focus themselves more on a good life rather than being relaxed. It's not really about yourself, but to do good. And that's very subjective, of course, but that's the search you can do yourself.
Yeah, and then you keep it also focusing in that sense on yourself. What was the key for them to be more relaxed or to accept?
Stay calm. I think it's calm. What they call it calmness. You try to be calm because then you can make better decisions. So if you stay calm, you can be wiser. Can try to be wiser, or in your way of thinking or acting. Because calmness, I think that's the key in doing.
I was listening to your podcast that you made in December, and it was all about finding that peace of mind, finding that calmness, slowing down. I don't know which word you used, but you combined something with the slowness and December.
Yeah, slow December.
Isn't that the hardest part for people to do? Also, maybe for the people who come to you, to slow down and accept that there is the wisdom or the things they want to find.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, they I think it's difficult, but I think everybody can give an example where you are calm, almost everyone, and they say, well, I remember vacation X or I or Z, or I'm calm when I'm sitting in a bench or when I'm walking in a countryside or whatever. And so they already know what calmness is. But what we forget to practice is to practice that calmness when we are back at work. It's as if those two things are different worlds, The countryside and my work is a completely different environment. But actually it isn't. It feels like it because the context is totally different. We try to transfer the same feeling that we can have when we walk in the countryside to another context. So it's not that difficult. People don't think about it that way sometimes. And if that clicks, then it starts to be easier to find that calmness. Also, when you are in an environment that is very hectic.
So what would you recommend then? To go more often looking for the calmness really so that you can bring it in, or practicing this calmness in a busy environment to the last one?
Because we already have ingredients. We have ingredients in our system because we had that calmness already in our life. But we forget to integrate it in our working environment.
And how do we do that?
Yeah, that's a long story. No.
It's too long. It's too many details. We're not gonna go there.
It starts with awareness, that you know that as well, and
Yes.
to be aware that you have to be aware when you don't feel awareness or calmness. I mean, and if you get pissed off or stressed, and then you have to learn to observe yourself. Okay, this is the thing, this is the moment that I really need that ingredient, and how can I use that? And I think that's very personal. Some people really have to walk away from the situation they're in, or take a deep breaths, or think about the vacation that they had, and find their calmness at that moment. And so that there are a complete different ways that people are able to integrate that calmness in their work.
Yeah, that's of course for everybody also so personal. Huh? What works, I always say, and it doesn't need to be my way, but at least becoming aware and then figuring out what helps for you.
Yeah, it's correct. And you know, you can't expect you to be calm in a split second if you never exercise. It's not possible, you know. You can't expect to be calm when you. Yeah, it's this with everything. You can't expect. You're a runner as well. I'm a runner. Well, we can't expect to run 10 kilometers if we don't exercise. So it's the same thing, actually. You know, you have to exercise. So just start exercising when your work is relatively calm. Okay, it's relatively calm. How can I look for the calmness inside myself? And you take some seconds. It doesn't have to take a long time. Oh, yeah, okay, I have it. So it's what I call, and I don't think it's an English a way of speaking, but it's droog oefenen. So you're exercising in a dry way. But
The dry run, I think you have. Yeah.
Dry run. No,
Dry run. It
okay.
fits. Yeah.
Okay, and that's how.
Nice. And I have on my list, no, I have some tools, but the subtitle of the podcast is called "How to Build Resilience in a Busy Life." And my tools are known, but I also want to ask you at least about my tools, what you prefer, as a sort of also warming up an introduction to that, and then of course we'll go to what your tools are. One for me, is it mountain or the sea for you? If you need to choose between one or the other.
Yeah, well, I thought about it because I do love the mountains. I really like to be in the mountains, but I will choose the sea because I grew up by the sea.
You live nearby the sea, you know?
Yeah, again. So 3 years ago, I moved to the sea again, and well, I really, I'm in heaven.
What exactly makes you feel in heaven like that?
Well, yeah, this symbolizes freedom, but also change. You know, water is changing all the time, and of course, if you stand up on a mountain, it changes as well, but it's in a slow way, and the sea is really changing every second. So I think it's if you look at it in a philosophical way, and it helps me if I have to struggle, if I have a struggle about things that I know it's will pass. Things will always pass, and that's what I see if I walk by the sea, and that's what I like about it.
And if you're not feeling complete, if you need to figure out something, or there is some doubts in your head, or you're struggling with, is it then you go to the sea, really, also physically?
Well, it depends. Running is a very good way as well. And if I run easy run, then I have very good ideas. I must say. Yeah, you know, because I think yeah, well, they had studies about it, because when you use your right and your left leg, then you activate your brains as well. So I think, and you get creative and practical in the same time. So I think, well, you don't have to run. Maybe walking is good as well. But I don't really like walking. I like running more. Then I really come up with a lot of good ideas and good solutions. The things that I'm stuck in.
And you don't forget them when you're home? No, if you run 10K, then by the time you're home, you have all forgotten about it. At least it happens sometimes to me. And then I had these great ideas, and then I come home and I don't know.
Yeah, maybe no. Well, I mean, when it's important enough, I don't forget it. No.
Yeah, that's basically always what happens. No, in the moment you're not busy with it, the solutions and the creativity comes. So that's really really good.
Yeah, yeah, and then especially the movement. So if you're stuck with something, it's maybe logical. When you're stuck with things in your head, you have to move. I mean, I think that's what always helps with me.
Talking about moving, it's another way of moving, sun rising, sunset. I'm always very happy with the sunrise because it's a new day and the light comes up and not everybody is out yet. And I feel really on top of the world. And then I come
Yeah,
home and still the whole day. But what is it for you?
yeah, definitely the same. The sunrise. I'm a morning person,
Hmm.
and I think the sunrise feels very hopeful. It's a new day, and just what you mentioned. It's a very quiet moment. That's
Yeah.
what I really like about it as well. And yeah, it's and I like breakfast. I think breakfast is one of the nicest moments of food as well. So I really I like everything of the morning. I'm very I can easily go out of my bed. I have no problem standing up or getting up.
And you go up then also at sunrise, or is it to stimulate something else, or it doesn't really matter? I go specifically. I would like to be outside when the sun comes up.
Okay. No, not really. No, I live in an apartment at the moment, so we have we can see the sunrise when we
Okay,
in our kitchen.
not from the bed.
No. So that's what I really like, and sometimes depends the phase of the year, of course, when where we are. But sometimes it's a little bit too early for me to look at the sunrise, and but I really like it.
And then between warm or cold, which one would you prefer?
Yeah, it was a difficult question, I think, because I think I'm more of a warm person because warm feels a little bit soothing,
Mhm.
soothing. But I know that cold sometimes is very nice as well. If you I get cold quite easy. So, but if I have the right jacket, the right clothes, then cold gives me energy. So it's two completely different sensations, I
Yes.
can say. But if people ask me, do you like to ski or go to a warm country? It's the last. And I'll definitely go to a warm country.
Yeah, I work with the colds to let people experience how to manage their stress as an extreme stressor and
Yeah,
identifying also their stress reaction. So that's where the question comes from. So a lot of people don't like the cold, but when you learn to identify cold as something you can learn from and understand how you react in these extreme situations, then it gives you also insights about yourself and
yeah,
how you react in situations which are not always easy to react to.
yeah. No, I can imagine, but I think I skipped this one. I know a lot of people swim in the sea. Also, when it's very cold, I see them walking up and down. But I never had the urge. No, no, no. It's not for me.
It's not on the 1st of January you went into the sea like, okay,
No,
no, okay.
no, I never did something like that.
And I have the last one is meditation or breath work, or maybe there is something else which helps for you to find your calmness, as we talked about it before.
So I don't know exactly if you talk about meditation. That's always a formal word for it. You have to do something specific. But if I think about meditation, and then I have the thought about relaxation and
Mhm.
thinking about not hardly nothing, then I come back to my walk on the beach, and yeah, I think meditation is when I listen to music or making music myself, and
Ah,
that those are the things that I like to do. Cuddle with my dog, I can do it for a long time, and he's very patient, so I can do it for a long time. And yeah, breath work, I don't do that often. I think I only do it when I'm really stressed. When there's a stressful situation, then I really try to be aware of it and or really be aware of my breath. So I take a deep breath in and out. And it helps me to create space, of course, in my body, but also create space in my mind. So that's what I do.
And how does stress looks like for you? What happens when you're stressed?
And so then you talk about negative stress.
Yeah, yeah, it's already good that you say there is, of course, also positive stress,
Mm,
which help you grow. But I'm
yeah,
talking about the negative stress. But
yeah.
you can, of course, also give your perspective about the positive stress. Yes, of course.
Well, it's because of our podcast. I was thinking about stress, and one of the questions you asked me, I don't know, something like, what did you think about stress earlier, and what changed in it, or something? And I thought, well, for a long time, I always thought stress is part of business. If you don't feel stress, you're not really committed. That's what I always thought. And in hindsight, I think it wasn't correct because now I realize, luckily for a long time already, I thought I know in my work, I experienced a lot of stress in a negative way because then I feel tension, I get headache, stiff shoulders, I get agitated, I get less air in my body. So I have to try to get more air in my body, but it doesn't really work because my breathing is not really in a good way. And you don't have to feel that way. You don't have to feel that way. That's what I know now. You don't have to feel stress when you want to perform. Also, yeah, you also a little bit stressed. That's okay. But a lot of years I did a lot of things with power. And power in all kinds of ways, in body and in mind, and in the power in wanting to succeed and want to perform. But the lesson I wanted to give my little Fief, when I'm little 20 years Fief, is take care of yourself. You
And
can also,
how do you do that?
you can also take care of yourself and be successful or whatever you like to do in life, and be more careful or take care of yourself in many ways. Is that if you feel it's not okay with your body, if you feel you're crossing a border, when you feel your headache or you feel you get a tense feeling in your body, then you don't take care of yourself. And then you have to do something to really care of yourself and step back or whatever, or say, well, I can do things with one step less or few steps less. It's not the end of the world.
Did you recognize it yourself? Because you said that would be the advice I would have given the younger Fief, but the younger Fief just went on and on because
Yeah.
probably she was used to do that. But were you able to recognize these feelings in yourself? Well, you thought it was normal. I see a lot of people think it's just normal.
Yeah.
It's part of what it is. So how can you then identify it?
Yeah, that's a very difficult one, because it's how you think, of course, huh?
Yes.
And I think it's I know now it's not a very good assumption, but I always thought that people who were too relaxed were lazy. Yeah, I must be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I really know it's not the case, Maybe I was a little jealous or something. I think it's also because you're jealous. Someone who's standing there quite relaxed and doing the same things. And I think then we sell ourselves a story that it's not okay what they do. They have to give themselves totally, otherwise it's not the whole thing. And it's not. I think that was maybe the key. I worked for in my work. I did those things, and I was tired a lot, but my system was very focused on giving everything I had. So it took a while it took a while before I thought maybe it's not the best way of continuing this. And why? I think it's a coincidence in my case because I didn't really recognize it was because of working too hard and giving too much of myself. But I changed work. So I changed work and I started my own business. And then because I changed work, I realized and then I could look back, and then you're going to think about the period of working that's, oh my God, I really worked too hard with too much power because I was tired as well.
And you didn't feel this tiredness when you were
No,
working?
no, not really. No, not really. No, no, yeah.
So normally a big change needs to happen or something, and for you was an unconscious change to one or the other, or was it a forced change from working for and then deciding to have your own business, or what happened there? Because I hear sometimes people say it was my divorce, it was I got fired, it was because I didn't realize it. No, so I see a
Yeah,
pattern. I see a pattern there. It could have been a coincidence of things that you landed in the right direction because that's how life wanted it to go for you.
yeah, yeah. No, I don't think it was a very important thing, but I think I just realized it that to work hard is a very strong assumption. It was something that I really heard a lot of times in my head because my parents told me that, of course, that working hard is part of life and you're not supposed to change that. So, and when I quit my job and started from my own business, I just made up something else. It's not because I didn't want to work hard. No, I just wanted to change things. It was not really the truth, I think, because maybe in my system or my heart, I know it was not good for me. But I didn't dare to say that out loud. Said that I didn't want to work that hard anymore. I couldn't say that back then, I think. And the last change I went through when I discovered the Stoic philosophy is a completely different change because then I already was able to create my own work environment in my own pace. So it wasn't that extreme. So I think I'm glad that I started to create my own workspace. I think that's a big change because I just did what I had to do and without thinking that much.
Yeah, so you didn't start with the same sort of I need to work hard to perform in your own business. You didn't
No,
have that. You didn't
no,
have that.
no,
That's interesting, no? That you didn't you had it in one, but then you didn't bring it into the other.
no. Because when I stopped my former work, I discovered. Then
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
suddenly felt that I was so tired, and that's what I was thinking. How? Why? And that's
What
the moment
happened?
that I was thinking and discovered. And there are a lot of things that I did back then. I didn't really wanted to do or was able to do, but I did it anyhow, just with force.
Yeah. So education is very important in your perception of, at least in this case, about your work perception.
Yeah, that's definitely because it's really it drives us to do the things we do. And if you don't discover that, if you don't really discover that that's the whole thing, that's the makes you keep on going till the end. No, not till the end. Hopefully not.
There are stages in between, so you hope that the red signs are read before that end.
True, and I think luckily it wasn't the end for me. But so I'm glad that I made that decision, not based on that initially, but that it worked out that way.
Would you recommend, because everybody has this kind of phrases which you got from your youth, which were just repeated
Yeah.
repeated as a sort of mantra? Would you
Mhm.
ever recommend to look into that and see if that is can be mirrored in your own behavior.
Yeah, sure. That's what I do a lot of times with people, my clients, and they do a lot of things just because they think, well, that's how it works. But if you have time and you have the space to really look into it and ask, but do you know why you do it? Why do you do the things you do? And if you really take time to analyze that part, then sometimes it's really shocking what the reason is why people do the things they do. And they think it's shocking, that they discover something that they really are. They think that it's true without knowing, but they definitely know now that it's not true. It's the same with what I discovered. I don't have to work that hard till I'm so tired I can't do anything else than working. Why? Why would I do that? Why? So I think the reflection, and I think that's an interesting part of philosophy, and I think a lot of people do it in other ways, but it makes you think and look behind the things that we do or think.
Yeah. Sometimes people also feel sort of like as if they've been, they cannot, as if they've been, what do you say, betrayed or something,
Sure. It's very scary to really, really discover things that have done. Wow, it's not that easy to look it in the eye, to realize that's the whole thing, or the angle. How do you call it?
The angle, the pain point.
The pain point, yeah. And because then you think, yeah, but if I don't believe in that anymore, where do I believe in then?
Yes.
Because you don't have anything else than that assumption. So it's a very sensitive process. It's not that, okay, of course, oh yeah, then I do something else. No, it's a real emotional and fundamental journey that people make. And I think that's the good thing of this work, I think, is that if you are courageous enough to discover or analyzing or just researching your backstory, then you get a lot of things back from it.
So curiosity could also be a good one, no? Be curious to where you came from, how you react, and be open to what you find.
Yeah, exactly, and it's wisdom as well, because wisdom, then we don't know anything, So that's wisdom.
That's wisdom. That's a nice one. And what is the thing that causes you stress? You recently wrote a book. You're also an author. I didn't mention that. Which could be also a very stressful process. But what is causing stress for you?
Yeah, well, maybe some people would say writing a book is stressful. It's about Stoic leadership, but I think I'm a little bit of a control freak, and I try to manage my that thing with the Stoics as well. And I had everything in control. When you write a book, you have everything in control. So when you are writing, what time, when you're not writing, when you show it to some other people. So I was quite relaxed in writing it. But where I get stressed from, I think injustice. I get stressed from if I see things happening and I don't have any control over. And I really find it difficult to accept. For example, example is when children are bullying another child, I get really pissed off, because I really, and I know I get really stressed about it, and I know I can't do a lot of things, can't do anything about it, but I can do a little bit, saying something about it, of course. But it always has to do about things that I can't control. In every aspect. And that's a lot, of course.
That's bigger than the things you can control, evidently.
True. That I think, and that's why maybe the Stoics are such a good teachers for me.
Therefore, they came to you.
Yeah, that's true. So, and I think,
Isn't that one of the Stoics' phrases also about learning to make a difference between what you control and not can control, and then
you can't control the situations that are happening, but you can only control your own thoughts, your interpretation about those situations or things that happen. So that's what I'm exercising every day, of course, because a lot of things happen without your permission. But I think, the stress most of the times is about things that happen with my children, of course, and things that are very close, and phases in my life. I had a divorce and it was very stressful because a lot of negativity was going on, and you can't do anything about it. That was a difficult, stressful period. And I think we can't. Everybody has stressful moments and phases in life. We can't hide from it. So we can better try and learn to manage it, or to learn to know how we can do different things than we are used to.
Yeah, you mentioned walking or running, and the sea is all good for you to get this clarity or to get this calm. What other are to go tools for you to manage the stress?
And then I come back to the Stoic techniques that I can mention. Is that I always try to ask myself, what's really happening here? So what's really happening? Then I force myself to try and be more of an observer, and it helps to stay calm and keep your mind a little bit clear, and not be too emotional.
So you take a sort of step back to look at from a different
From above.
perspective.
Yeah, one of the exercises, Stoic exercises, to the perspective from above.
Okay.
And then you just visualize that you were really very far from here, and looking at your own situation, and then you try to put things in more perspective. Of course, that's so I think that's an important one, and I try to prepare myself every day to think, what do I think that would be on my path today? What could be a challenge, and what would I need to stay calm?
I read it recently, thinking about a lot of people think only about what they would like to achieve, but to achieve whatever they want, they need to also overcome some hurdles. And then it's also so good to do this kind of exercise or practice. Like
Yeah.
what are the hurdles you can encounter, and what would be the preferred reaction of yourself requested in that situation? But you do that every day.
Yeah, So for example, having this podcast with you in English. So I told you just before we started, I don't speak last couple of months. I don't know why. Normally I have conversations in English with one of I don't know why. I had a lot of English clients as well, but last couple of months I didn't see anyone. So that was a little bit. It's not really stressful, but it has a certain stress for me. So what I need is courage. Yeah? So I think about what can happen, and what's the worst thing that can happen. And what was the same thing that when I started the podcast myself 5 years ago, I only had interviews in English. And I was really doubting if I would start the podcast, because I thought, well, I know Dutch people are very critical. Oh, they always say, yeah, well, you really need to speak of you have to be able to speak very well, because otherwise you're just like all those Dutch people who really don't speak English that well, and then you better not do it. All those hurdles other people think of, and then you can just sort of think, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? And to come back to your remark about success, and I think that's really a relief working with the Stoic, is that they don't really think about success. They don't really think about results. And maybe it's a little bit strange to think about, but it really doesn't matter. Because it matters that you do the things that you do as good as you can. You do the good as good as you can, and try to exercise with things as good as you can. And the results, yeah, we don't really control the result. It depends on a lot of things, But at the end of the day, you would like to, you want to say to yourself, it was a good day. Of course, I could have done things better in certain aspects, but overall, it was a good day.
Is it also how you close the days? You prepare in the morning to with the scenarios and how you can prepare yourself for hurdles or challenges which are on your way on that day. Is it then also a closure exercise or practice at the end of the day, like I did good or I could have done better?
Yeah, exactly. I think we only get wiser if we reflect, because otherwise we'll do the same things all over again. Also the good things maybe, but we can also reflect on good things, and then we know that we can keep doing them, and that's not really a coincidence doing the good things. And I think that's a very nice way of looking back of the days, not to be critical of yourself, but really to analyze that also. Okay, I said this or I did that. Maybe I could have done this. Who knows? We don't know exactly. If we did something else, then it is better. But it was maybe an alternative as well. Okay. Well, then you the next day maybe you try to do something else, and then you learn.
And you write it down or is all in your head?
Most of the times I really do it in my head when I'm walking the dog. If it's really important, I write it down. But it's not that I always write things down. Mostly I have themes I'm working in that I really remember, So, for example, wisdom is a continuing thing that I'm working on. So I think it would work or learn or be nice for other people to work on that a little bit more sometimes.
I think all the pillars of the Stoics could be elements where everybody could work on. And
Sure. Yeah.
if you improve yourself, you improve evidently also your surroundings, and then it has a bigger circle of influence as well.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's one of the chapters of my book. That sometimes when we're stressed, we fall back on control. We're going to control other people just to make sure that everything works out well. And it's not the way that we really influence people, but because we can't control other people. It looks like it, but people always have their own ideas about you, about the situation, or they do things differently behind your back. You want to have people you really can trust, and you only can create that if you show them a good example, and that you stay calm, and that you realize that you have respect for other people, and that you are able to listen. Well, it's not that easy. It's quite a list, but I think if you work on that as a human, because one of the question you had, what is authentic leadership?
Yes.
And now a lot of clients come to me and are become a leader because they have a company, but they didn't really choose to be a leader. You want to be an entrepreneur, and then when they're successful, they have to hire people, and then suddenly they're a leader. And then they say, well, I don't like it, and I don't have to do all kinds of stupid things, and I have to listen, and blah, 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 and I have to go to all kinds of training or whatever. But I think you don't have to, if you just be yourself, but you really need a fundament to live on, to live by, and then you can lead by as well, by the same principles. So it's not that complicated.
But also there, probably they have an idea about what a leader should look like based on whatever.
Yeah.
And then they think they need to follow that.
Yeah, they need to change. And so I'm not a type of leader, and maybe I have to quit the whole thing because I never be a leader. I think it's a little bit overrated, actually.
Leadership.
Yeah, I think we write about it a lot. There are a lot of books about leadership. Now, well, my book is about leadership as well. That's
It's also
true.
about leadership, no?
True. But it's not in the sense of adding more tools or techniques, but because we have a lot of skills already in performance skills and optimization. So I wanted to go back to a foundation. I think the foundation is not specifically about leadership, but I think leaders really need the foundation, maybe more than we do, or other people who are not leaders, because they're so important for us. No, leaders have a lot of influence, negative or positive.
Yes.
I mean, it's so yeah, I think that's why it's so important that leaders work on themselves, not as a leader, but as a person, as a human being.
To have all these 4 pillars from the Stoic very well, how you say, imprinted as a basics in
Yeah. Then the shift isn't that big to be a good leader. No.
and authentic, of course.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Uh,
And it doesn't
people,
really specifically has to be the 4 Stoic leaders, or Stoic pillars, but that you only think about what's my fundament, what's important for me to really live for, and what are the principles I like to really show other people I work with.
yeah, I always work a lot with the core values as a sort of as a direction of what is important for you, what are your values, and do you see that health is very often then one of those, and do you see that then back in how your daily life looks like? That totally not, no.
No,
So
true.
yes, it's absolutely this you say linearity in the
Yeah,
different what you say and what you do, and building that fundament
yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
to create leadership. And something about stress and body awareness, no? When you get stressed, how and where do you feel that in your body, or you don't feel it at all?
Yeah, no, yeah, what I already
A little
mentioned is
bit, yeah.
the breathing. I'm high in breathing at that moment. I feel it in my face as well. And when I'm really relaxed, I really feel sort of a relaxation in my face. It's just, and I don't really, I'm not aware of it when it's not there. When I'm relaxed, then I say, oh yeah, this is
Jezus.
relaxation. And I get my shoulders are my weak spot, so my shoulders are getting stiff.
So you
So I think
bring, you
that's
bring,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's those are I think the most important symptoms of stress for me.
you see it in your body. And
Yeah.
then it starts to hurt, and then you think, okay, need to get back to square one, relaxation, or it doesn't work like
Yeah,
that.
sometimes I'm not really, I don't know why, then I really have to think about it. What's going on here?
Oh,
Sometimes I'm not really aware of it, where it comes from. And then I have to think about it, well, maybe, and then maybe there's something going on in my life that I really am struggling with, but I'm not always aware of it. That's it's a struggle. So, and now when I feel those symptoms, I think, it, if I think about it, it's probably this or that. And then I can do something about it. Or I can let go if I can't control it, or I can try to influence it in one way or another.
and it's interesting that you say, that you notice it and then start to realize, oh, maybe I'm struggling with something. You're so busy with this. You're so aware of it, and
Yeah.
and then still, but there are many people totally disconnect between head and body and awareness. So you and also me, but in this case, you're so busy with it. You know about it. You've written about it. You're very active in perceiving the signals. Then
Yeah.
still realize a sort of too late that
Mhm.
maybe there is something bothering you. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very interesting how it sneaks in then in a way.
Yeah. True. Yeah, and I think that's what I wish people to learn a little bit more is to read yourself more, because it's all about reading yourself. To get
Yeah.
yourself. You need or to learn yourself. to get to learn yourself what your pitfalls are. Pitfall for me is the control thing. So I know that I have that a little bit, and I'm aware of it now, but I can't really prevent it always. Sometimes I'm already in it, but
Pops up, yeah.
but then I try to be aware of it when it's too late, and then try to see if I can change it back in calmness again.
Nice. Yeah, that's what I say. Is not so easy, but awareness is then evidently the first step.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, what comes up to me in my head is more of the taking care of yourself stuff, and I think that's a really important point. Looking back at our conversation about stress, and I think it's an underestimated thing in life. And I think if I would say it like this to people I work with, self-care, they say, well,
You come from The Hague, no? You said
Yeah.
working hard. That
Yeah.
is my imprint. I come from the area around you.
Yeah.
So it's a similar kind of hard guidance. If you come with self-care, it's a dirty word.
Yeah, well, we don't do that. You don't have any time for that. Maybe on vacation or maybe in it, So
Yeah.
and I think maybe we have to mention it differently, but I think to take care of yourself, I think it's not only good for yourself but also for others at the end, and I think that's what we really are aiming for. I think if we try to make it a little bit more result wise, it's wiser to take care of yourself also during your work, because then you will have much more, I think, results. If you want to talk about results, not really Stoic, but okay. And I think you don't underestimate your example, that you are an example for others. I think people are looking at you all the time when you're a leader. I think it's a very, very important role you have. Not only what you say or do, but also what you show other people, especially in moments that are stressful and are really difficult. And I think it's a very nice and great opportunity as a person to grab that, and don't make a mess of it. It's a pity.
It's a nice closer. Don't make a mess of yourself.
Yeah, and others.
And yeah, because if you're messy, the rest will become messy as well.
Sure.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not really the example you want to give and be successful. Although that is not a Stoic.
No,
So
the exercise from how would you like people to remind you when you're dead,
yes.
That's a good question. I know a lot of people use that exercise, but I think it's a good exercise because it really forces you to think about what would be the answer then.
Yes.
That you always were tough and always were on results, or that you were always working. Yeah, maybe people will say that. Some people maybe that's the answer, but I don't think a lot of people will give that answer.
What is your answer there?
Yeah, I would like people to say, well, that I try to make life a little bit more better. I think that's that I try to do good, and that people maybe learn something from me, and that they are able to have a better life. And that maybe what I always think, we only have one life, and sometimes we are wasting our times too much, and sometimes doing nothing is not bad, of course, but we're wasting our time with scrolling on our mobile or doing other things. Our life is too, and you can't get your life back, so you only have one life. So I hope that people will remind me as an example that you can fill your life or do the things in your life that are nice or funny or I didn't live for nothing, you know?
I learned today a lot from you, Fief. So at least for today, you have achieved that goal. So thank you very much
Thank you for your time.
for your transparency and wisdom, especially.
Thanks. Thank you.